contrast, where the term underdevelopment is often not applicable, where the most advanced forms of the good life coexist with abject poverty. Poverty so great indeed that it is hard to believe it exists in the American hemisphere. Latin America is also a continent of artistic achievement, great vigor, and awakening power. A continent, in short, in desperate search for a better way of life for all its citizens. This search led to the establishment of the Inter-American Development Bank. For years, Latin America had sought the creation of a regional financial institution devoted exclusively to encouraging its economic and social development. This hope became a reality December 30th, 1959, when the United States joined 19 Latin American countries in establishing the Inter-American Bank, set up with two separate funds. The bank's top governing body is its Board of Governors, which meets yearly, here shown at its first meeting in San Salvador in February 1960. At this meeting, the board elected Felipe Herrera of Chile as its president and selected the bank's first board of executive directors. At the second meeting of the board in Rio de Janeiro in April 1961, Mr. Herrera defined the new institution as a bank, but something more than a bank. A bank, in short, greatly concerned with a desperate need to bring development to Latin America. The bank's broad development role was exemplified 2 months later on June 19, 1961, when the bank and the United States government signed the Social Progress Trust Fund Agreement, under which the bank began to administer a special fund provided by the United States as part of the Alliance for Progress program proposed by President Kennedy. At the third meeting held in Buenos Aires, action was initiated to increase the bank's resources and to authorize it to adopt a program to finance exports of capital goods among its Latin American members. At the fourth meeting in Caracas in 1963, the Board of Governors urged member countries to quickly put into effect increases in the bank's resources. At the fifth meeting in Panama the next year, the Board of Governors approved a recommendation calling for an increase of $900 million in the bank's fund for special operations, and decided that in the future, the fund should take care of loan projects previously financed through the Social Progress Trust Fund. The sixth annual meeting, held in Asunción, Paraguay, gave the bank a mandate to expand its support for Latin America's economic integration, a cause to which the bank has dedicated ever-growing attention, convinced that it is vitally important if Latin America is to achieve its proper place in the community of developed nations. The seventh meeting, which was held in Mexico City, reinforced the integration mandate by urging the bank to establish a fund to accelerate Latin America's integration, and also, once again, asked the bank to study measures to enlarge its resources. Under its president and executive vice president, the bank's administrative organization is divided into 4 departments. These are the Finance and Administration Department, containing 5 divisions, the Operations Department, consisting of 4 divisions, the Technical Department with 3 divisions, and the Legal Department. The offices of the Program, Integration, and Financial Advisors, as well as the Institute for Latin American Integration, are attached to the office of the President and Executive Vice President, as are the offices of the Controller of Operations and the Internal Auditor. All of the bank's member countries have made capital subscriptions to the ordinary capital resources, whose authorized capital is currently $2.15 billion, and have contributed financial resources to the Fund for Special Operations, whose authorized funds now total about $1.2 billion. The $525 million of the Social Progress Trust Fund were made available entirely by the United States government. In addition to these resources, the bank also channels funds for Latin America's development from such non-member countries as Canada, Germany, the Netherlands, and the United Kingdom. The callable portion of the bank's ordinary capital resources serves to guarantee the bank's securities and thus enables it to borrow funds in the world capital market. Each one of the loan applications sent to the Inter-American Bank's headquarters at 808 17th Street in Washington are carefully analyzed from all standpoints: economic, social, financial, and legal. Typically, a loan officer drafts a preliminary appraisal of the project, and a special project committee reviews the appraisal. At this particular committee meeting, an officer from the Division of Economic and Social Development discusses economic benefits expected from the execution of the project, and the chief of the corresponding geographic area summarizes its high points. The application then goes to the bank's loan committee, consisting of senior bank officers under the chairmanship of the executive vice president or one of the managers. The president, the executive vice president, and the pertinent staff members have carefully examined the application by the time it reaches the board of executive directors for final approval. Following this approval, a loan contract is negotiated and signed, generally in a ceremony at the bank. At this particular ceremony, as at others, Mr. Herrera speaks out on the potential benefits of the project to integration in Latin America. Once he said, Gandhi and Nehru accomplished the miracle of holding together a community of 400 million, conciliating the local interests of the various groups that comprise it. The European integration process is going ahead despite 30 million victims sacrificed on the battlefields of that continent. Right before our eyes, day by day, we can see the emergence and consolidation of Pan-Africanism. I ask myself, where is Latin America? What picture do we present of ourselves as a hemisphere with a voice, with a destiny, with a call to progress? A partial answer is contained in the 348 loans amounting to $1.7 billion, which the bank had approved by mid-1966, many of which are fostering integration. The Mexican peninsula of Yucatan, site of the great Mayan civilization, which flourished 1,000 years ago, rises north into the waters of the Gulf of Mexico. Nevertheless, it is singularly arid, a condition which has meant that much of the peninsula's agriculture is based on the one-crop cultivation of the drought-resistant Maguey plant. In order to help improve this situation, the bank in 1962 extended a loan from the trust fund to help irrigate more than 12,000 acres of land, and thus permit small-scale farmers to cultivate other crops. Some of the results can be seen in these orange groves. Opening up this land involved clearing shrubs, providing access roads, laying electric power lines, and installing pumps to carry water to the new farmland along newly constructed canals. This is but one of the hundreds of projects which the bank has helped finance in the 5 years of its operation. Others include a land settlement project in which Paraguay pushes back the jungle to provide the new farmlands needed to produce additional income for the country's future economic progress. Other land settlement or improvement projects are being carried out with the help of bank loans in each of its member countries. In Venezuela, such loans total nearly $18.2 million. In Brazil, $15.6 million. In the latter, a loan granted in the industrial state of Sao Paulo helped to provide nearly 200 heavy tractors for 40 farm machinery stations being organized in order to help carry out the nation's agrarian reform plan. A lending technique which has enabled the bank to reach small and medium-scale entrepreneurs are loans granted to national development agencies which relend the proceeds to improve farms, ranches, mines, and industries. In Paraguay, such a loan is helping to improve ranching methods throughout the country and to modernize the dairy industry, as well as to improve the processing of grapefruits and oranges for export. In Honduras, credits from another development loan are being used to import purebred cattle, and in Ecuador to improve sheep herds. Argentina's industry provides agricultural machinery for the nation's vast farmland. 2 bank loans totaling $40 million are helping to finance a 6-year program being carried out by the Banco de la Nación to improve the nation's farm output. Already more than 20,000 credits have been extended to borrowers under the program for such varied farm equipment as tractors, harrows, planters, harvesters, and plows, and to improve the nation's poultry, swine, cattle, and sheep herds. The bank has extended 30 loans for advanced education, amounting to some $48 million. One is helping this Mexican technological institute to purchase modern laboratory equipment to improve its capacity to train the professionals required for Mexico's development. Nearly a third of $1 billion of the loans authorized by the bank have been devoted to water and sewage projects in cities, towns, and rural communities where some 30 million Latin Americans live. Projects in El Salvador are benefiting 4/5 of the nation's population. Talcahuano and Concepcion, twin industrial cities in Chile, with a population of 205,000, are getting an improved water system with the help of a bank loan. Back in arid Yucatan, 12 towns will get pure water systems, thanks in part to the bank's financing. This plant is providing pure water to a city in Panama. The important oil center of Maracaibo, Venezuela, has been able to broaden its water supply through a program partially financed by the bank. Areas in